I was a little irritated with the way that our governor was allowing us to do things. It pissed me off. And then when we had the mask mandate, kids had to wear masks in childcare. If kids came in without them, they had to give them a paper mask because they didn't want to get shut down or have somebody go and tattle to the governor, hey, they're doing this. And I'm like, no, I'm not wearing one. I'm not sick. I don't need one. So the first few times I did wear one, I'm like, this is stupid. I'm not doing it. And, I understand as a leader, leading my team, should I have worn one? Maybe. But I didn't.
Well, let's talk about that. Why? Like, so, I mean, if you're a team lead at work and your boss tells you you need to wear a facial covering, then to some degree you have an obligation to be obedient to that in the realm of work. But what about outside of there, Amanda? Did you go to Quick Trip or Casey's or Hy-Vee or whatever? Did you feel the need to cover your face while everybody else was doing it just because there was a mandate?
So admittedly, I was really conflicted because, like, do I need one? No. Am I sick? No. Do we need a mandate? No. I was thoroughly against it. But I thought, while I'm at church, if I'm supposed to be a leader, and if people that are not normally attending church are afraid to, because they're afraid of this virus, am I pushing them away from attending church or taking that next step of faith? Am I hindering them from that? Am I making them fearful or judgmental? If they're judgmental, that's their problem, really. But am I by not wearing one, am I doing the wrong thing? And I feel like I'm having this whole moral dilemma because I don't agree with it, but at the same time, I don't want to be the person that's pushing somebody away from attending church or, like I said, taking that next step of faith. So I think for like a month or so, I did wear one at church, although most of the time it was that clear plastic face mask thing that went under your chin. It's not really a mask. It was like that little face shield thing. Mostly I wore those.
But let me push on you a little bit, and this is where you're like, it's not what I was expecting. I thought I was going to promote my TikTok all night.
Oh.
You should know better by now. I think we've had enough conversations. You knew I was gonna come at you from a different direction every time. Mm-hmm. I want to reassure you at the same time as challenge you. Honestly, there's nothing, and this is one of the things that I wish I could get other Christians to understand. You can't. There's literally nothing that you or your pastor or anybody else. If a person's going to come to Christ, they're going to come, and it's not going to matter. You can't stand in the way of that because it's not you doing it. And I'll add that you can't, if you're just out there being an asinine jerk for no reason, that person's not going to just reject Christ because you're an asinine jerk. They're going to use you as an excuse for their rejection, but their rejection is going to ultimately have nothing to do with you. And so you wearing a mask isn't going to make a person go, oh, well, I don't want anything to do with Jesus because she's not wearing a mask. And I understand what you're saying, but I would tell you, if you look at the history of this country, it is foundationally and fundamentally built upon Christians resisting tyranny. And I believe that a strong stand on resisting tyranny is actually going to do more for you and your witness than you wearing a mask ever would. because people are going to look at you and go, well, I know she doesn't agree with this. So we've had conversations about this, but yet she's doing it. So if she doesn't agree, why is she? And I'm not saying that.
I get what you're saying. Like I said, I never agreed with it. It just, for me, like how do I do the right thing? And is it wearing?
It's hard.
Like, and it, after a month, I'm like, you know what? Even if this is the right thing, this is stupid. I'm done. I don't need to wear one.
You're like, gee, thanks for
to see what happens. I got a notice for U.S. District Court jury duty.
When was that?
I got it in the mail in June, and I don't know when I'm supposed to be on jury duty, but I had tried, I did the e-juror thing. I've called them, I've emailed them, like, I can't do this in the summer. I'll do it. Just let me do jury duty in the wintertime. If I have to show up there wearing a mask, they're going to kick me out.
You're like, well, I guess I won't be serving on the jury.
Probably not. Well,
so
open my blue line sweatshirt. And then they definitely won't want me, but I'm not holding wearing a mask.
So when did you stop wearing a mask in public?
November.
That was the point where you're like, I've had enough. You were just like, I'm done.
I think I worked for like October, and that's enough.
What was that first? Do you remember where you were where you went the first time you took it off and chose not to wear it in public? And
Walmart or Target.
And what was your feeling walking into that for the first time?
It was a little weird. You know what? It had to be Walmart because I had this cranky old lady sitting up front. Do you have a mask? No.
No, that was clearly Walmart.
Yep. Well, they did have it at Target too,
but not a cranky old lady. It's always somebody in a nice red shirt smiling at you, going, "Can we give you a mask?"
No. But I was one of few people in that store without one, because at that point, they were still mandated, so most people were wearing them. And I got a couple comments that were positive. I was surprised. I mean, I shouldn't be surprised because it's a small town up here, but they were just kind of got the head nod or the, I like your hair, or, I get a lot more nicer comments in person about my hair than I do online. But
it's because you're appropriating their culture.
Yeah. But I didn't get any, I don't remember having any negative comments. I didn't get people running up to me, screaming at me, telling me to put on a mask or this or that. Some people kind of like avoided me.
Isn't that hilarious? When you're going, they're wearing masks, they see you, and you can literally watch them like go, yes, so many times.
Yeah.
I went to an event in Albert Lea back at the beginning of January, and there were some counter protesters that were standing there, and I'm like, I'm going to go check these guys out. I'm going to see who they are, what they're about, what their signs say. Mm-hmm. And I went over and I crossed the street. I waited for the light to change. It's January in Albert Lea. It wasn't like there was a lot of traffic. Let's just leave it that way. And And Lisa, I love your city there where you have your coffee shop, but it was pretty dead. There were literally more people standing by the stoplight waiting for speakers than there was traffic in the entire city. But these people were counter protesting, and I went over and I went across the street and I went to walk by, and they literally, all of them masked up in January in the cold, like huddled together, mind you. Huddled together and like moved away from me, and I stopped and I turned around and I went, "Are you afraid of me?" And they're like, "Keep your distance." And I'm like, "You're wearing masks. What's it matter?"
Right.
And it turned into probably, I don't know, like an 8-minute interaction wherein they, I turned around and went back and was standing on the edge of the street. Mm-hmm. And like I was trying to keep 6 feet away from them, and they were so angry and agitated that I dared to challenge them on things that they kept approaching me, and I said, hey, 6 feet, like, you need to leave us alone. I'm like, you're advancing on me. I'm not advancing on you. And they were angry, and I like they told me, and keep in mind I'm a vet, they're like, you're disgracing every veteran that's ever died for this country. And I'm like,
No.
they're like, you're a Confederate. And I'm like, so I went off on a tangent just because you brought that up, where people kind of look at you when you don't have one. I get that now. There's no mask mandates anywhere, really. And people will still look at you like you're a freak for not having a mask on.
Well, really, up here where I'm at,
maybe not so much.
Except for like 3 people at the planning commission meeting last night. I haven't seen a mask in months.
Really?
Yep.
Other than like when you get down to the metro area.
I don't go down there.
I don't blame.
Drive through for work to like drop off materials, which is very rare. My boss doesn't let me out of the office very often. I don't know why.
You're like, you're not the public face for this company, sweetheart.
I'm the one that answers the phone. I'm the one that starts off the job selling process.
I'm not laughing at you as much as I'm laughing at you.
Right.
So so you've grown, admittedly, you've grown a lot more spine since all of this started in March of 2020. And I don't mean that to be insulting, but you kind of started out with some compliance factors.
Right. And I've just been more vocal over the last, year and a half, almost 2 years, just from the start of like when the election happened and just watching this all unfold. So, it's more than just the COVID stuff. And really at this point, there's only so many issues that I can stay on top of because I have things sent to me on a daily basis. Yeah. But
I just want everybody to know I am not bombarding her with stuff. That's coming from other people.
That is a lot of other people. But I mean, it's great and I appreciate it, like staying informed. But
you have a life.
I do. I work for a living. I have kids to take care of. I have a house to attempt to keep clean, although keeping a house clean while children live here is like brushing your teeth while eating Oreos. So I don't know why I try.
I've never heard that analogy, but thank you. That's
I've used that one for a while. But just not being able to stay silent about the things that I'm observing going on, at least in my world, what I'm seeing going on, whether it's election fraud or government overreach or things that are being taught to our children in schools, to things that are happening locally with people on the school board that don't have children in the school, or the city council, planning committee, just all the things that are more local and more in my my vision. Being able to pay more attention to them and speak up when I see things that are like, are you kidding me? How is this even going on? How is this? Do you not see? Are you really that blind? This is not okay. Whether or not people listen to me or believe me, that I guess that's on them. But if I don't speak up about it, if everybody's silent, we end up with the bystander effect where, oh yeah, somebody else, they'll take care of it. They'll speak up about it. They'll say something. Somebody else will do it. When you do that, nothing gets done.
Right. I don't want to keep you for too much longer because, I know you need to, sleep at some point. And you're old now, so.
Sleep, and I'm not old.
You had already admitted it before we started recording, so.
Yeah.
So, and trust me, when I say old, it's in comparison because I am old. You're on the Planning and Zoning Commission, and I tell people that all the time when I'm having conversations with these small groups. Like, Run for city council, run for school board, run for county commission, like get on the library board, get on the planning and zoning commission. How much has being on the planning and zoning commission opened your eyes, even in your own little town?
Well, this is only the first meeting that I've been sitting on, because they wanted to go through, like, I kid you not, I have a rule book.
Yep.
That I need to look through. I mean, some of it I already know, being that I work in the construction field, but just from being in that one meeting last night, seeing the one city council member, especially, that was sitting in the planning commission meeting, it feels like a power trip. It really does. Just
right.
Like the piddly little shit that has to come before the planning commission just so you can be able to do things in your own property. I mean, it's your land. You own it. I mean, there was one guy that came up. It wasn't an item on the agenda that was printed out. He was wanting to talk about amending a certain city ordinance that's in place. Clearly, he was very passionate about what he was talking about. I don't necessarily agree with him, and I won't get into the whole specifics about it, but just seeing the agenda that we had to go through, and it seems like even in the small towns, these city councils and planning commissions, they have a lot more power than you would think. And it seems a little ridiculous. A lot of it is redundant because it has to go back and forth between planning commission and city council and back and forth to get all these things approved. Which, I mean, part of it makes sense when you're talking about a developer coming in and putting in like 150, 200 homes. I can understand why some homeowners might have an issue with that.
Wanting to raise chickens in your backyard, not a big deal.
Who the fuck cares? It's your yard. If you want to have chickens.
We're over here talking about you going to church and me going to church, and you're over here. It's funny. I was with my mom today and I dropped the F-bomb. Like, I'm sorry, Mom, but this has just got to be said.
It's your yard. If you want to have chickens, who cares? As long as it's not like 20 chickens in like a tiny little area where it's not healthy to have that many chickens. And
you have to have your neighbors sign off on a.
There was a homeowner we worked with to build a deck on her home. You can only cover down in this particular city. You can only, if your yard was this size, you can cover up to a certain percentage of your yard with. And
it's like, it's my yard. If I want to cover the whole thing, I should be able to.
They include the driveway. And what's covered on their yard. So we had to go to the planning commission, city council, and it just went back and forth just so she could add an extra like 14 square feet of deck to her backyard. She had to go and get signatures from either 2 or 3 of her neighbors, apply for a variance to cover, I think it was like 27% of her yard instead of 25%. We're talking 2% more of her backyard. So we could add a 4x4 bump out for stairs to go down. I kid you not, it took 3 months.
And it cost how many hundreds of dollars?
It was a $250 variance application fee.
And that's just the application. No guarantee the variance is going to be granted.
$700 went into escrow for the variance application.
So that she could pay the permit if it's granted.
The permit cost, was it like $330? And no, it was $230. Sorry, it was $230. And there was a $1,000 escrow on the permit that we had to pay for that we don't get back until the permit, the final inspection.
Right.
Now that it's passed inspection, now it's on the city budget or something, and they're supposed to go over it at the city council meeting on Monday to release the $1,700 escrow back to us.
Yeah.
For a deck.
So what you're telling me is your eyes have been opened.
I mean, this was months ago. This is part of the reason why I decided to get on my planning commission in my city. Just watching what this other homeowner had to go through back in April.
So when I say maybe you should be considering running for city council,
I guess I'd have to look and see, one, if you can be on city council and planning commission at the same time here in Cambridge. And really, I think at this point, it might be better suited for me to be on the school board. But the school board, I checked, they're not up for re-election or whatever until 2022, some of them 2023, because it's like a 5-year deal.
You need to be on the city council.
I have
and having sat on the planning and zoning commission, you can be the city council member when you run and win. You can be the city council member that's appointed to be the representative to the planning and zoning commission, and you can still have a say. You need to be on the city council, because that's how this is going to change. Because the planning and zoning commission, they have a lot of power, and I try to get people to understand that. And that's why I want conversations like this to take place, because people don't understand. Like this, literally, this is how, like, what's the population of Cambridge?
I know Isani County is like 40,000, but that's including Cambridge, Isani, part of Stacy, possibly part of St. Francis. So it's there's
right.
quite a few.
But it's not a big town.
No.
Less than 10,000?
Possibly. Honestly, I'd have to look.
Okay.
I recall.
You have a Walmart?
We have a Walmart, and a Target, and Menards,
and a Hy-Vee.
We don't have a Hy-Vee.
Really?
We're about to have Quick Trips, though.
Aldi?
No. Yes.
Yes. All right. So maybe you guys are closer to that 10 to 15. You have a cat.
I have a cat. How did you know?
Just saw it.
Did you?
Yes. So like you need to be on that city council, because like even in small cities or small towns or little villages, planning and zoning commission as much, or committee, as important as it is, has a lot of power. People don't understand that. Like if they say no, it doesn't go anywhere. You could appeal to the city council, but the city council is going to go, well, the P&Z said no.
Yeah.
But
it does go to planning commission first.
Yeah.
First.
And that's the thing. But we need that kind of person who thinks that way on the city council, because they can make those changes. They are the ones that can go up to the rest of the, in a city council meeting and say, look, we need to change this. We need to scrap this. Planning and zoning can't do that.
No, not as much. I mean,
not at all. They can only operate under the auspices of what the codes and the variances and the ordinances of the city allow.
And then you've got the homeowners that want to come in and request a change on the ordinances.
Yeah, conditional use permits.
Right. And those are more likely to be approved than not.
Especially if there's somebody. Yeah. So I guess two questions, because I want to be able to like let you get back to life, because you have a life. I don't. I have no life. This is my life now. If you were going to share one thought that something that you've learned since March of 2020 that you wish other people would wake up and see, or would grasp and take out into the world with them, what would that be?
Oh, wow.
Because you have a TikTok channel where thousands of people are watching your videos. You have something to say.
I have a lot of things to say.
Well, save the insults until like for Messenger.
Okay, gotcha.
All right.
One thing to say is I have to pick one. That's hard. Stop being silent. And I don't mean just speaking out on whatever social media platform you have or speaking out to your friends. I mean, be in contact with those that have been elected in authority in your state and in Washington, D.C. Because if they don't hear from their constituents, whether they agree with you or not, they don't know what their constituents actually want. They're going to follow party lines like nobody's business. So everybody in your district should be reaching out to your state representative, your state senator, and your representative and senators that are in Washington, D.C. If you don't contact them, if you don't tell them, this is how I feel about this bill, this is my opinion on this, that, and the third, they don't know. Even if you don't get a response, and I can promise you, there's one party that will not respond to you much, if at all.
And we won't mention the DFL by name, but it might be the DFL.
Might be. But you can't not contact them. I've reached out multiple times to both sides. And if that's the least you can do, that's better than nothing.
What about local involvement? What about city councils, school boards, county commissions?
Attend the meetings if you can.
What about running for office?
Talk to other people that may have been in your city council or planning commission or mayor before.
Library board.
Figure out how to run and what you need to do, even if it's just local. Honestly, for planning and commission, that was a position I applied for. It's not like I was elected.
You got appointed to it.
Right. I went to the city council meeting because I applied. They wanted to talk to me, and here you go.
They were like, you want to be on planning and zoning? Please take the job.
Right. I mean,
and how much money you make a year doing that?
I make like $30 a meeting.
That's more than I made on planning and zoning.
Right. But however you can be involved at a local level, because like I said at the Freedom Rally, you can't go straight to the White House.
Or governorship.
A change. You have to start local, whether it's contacting your local representatives and senators, whether it's going to those meetings or running for city council or school board. Honestly, it's pretty simple. City council, I think up here, it's like a $2 application fee. You fill out a quick form. I've seen all the forms from the last school board members that were running for election. It's really not that challenging. And nowadays, with there being local community groups on Facebook, if you want to get your name out there for running for one of those offices, you make a post in the Facebook groups multiple times so people know who you are, why you're running, what your thoughts, ideologies are, things like that. That's going to probably be your quickest way. Or you walk downtown in your city, you go to the local businesses and say, hi, my name is whatever. I'm running for city council or school board. Or
I actually want to see you run for city council and then introduce yourself as my name is whatever. So
my name is whatever. That was just a placeholder for whoever your name is or whatever.
TikTok challenge right there.
Super. Wait.
So get involved is what you're saying.
Get involved.
You have no one to blame but yourself if you don't.
Yep.
Hardest thing about about being who you are and having your views, what has been the hardest thing for you?
Besides the fact that I think a lot of people don't take me seriously just because of the way that I choose to do my hair, or that my tattoos, or my stretched ears.
I'm scared to tell you like anything, because like you're intimidating, so you're very scary.
Didn't realize. I wasn't trying to be. But I think besides that is putting myself out there, and at this point I'm potentially losing my main account on TikTok. I've had so many community guidelines violations because they don't like me that people report me. I have to find other ways of being vocal, and initially it was really irritating dealing with the trolls. Now at this point it's more of a mild annoyance. Like, I know they're going to be out there. I know they're not going to like what I'm saying because I'm posting things that are more conservative or patriotic. But honestly, some of the comments are terrible. Some of the messages I received, I reported them because I was getting death threats to myself. I was getting threats of harm to myself and my children. Like, this is ridiculous. It is social media. If you really don't agree with me, then just bug off. There's nobody speaking that way.
Keep swiping. I don't know. Do you swipe on TikTok? I don't know.
You keep scrolling.
Scrolling? Okay, I'm not a TikToker.
I think that was probably the hardest part. Was comments got really bad really quick. And
because you dared to speak your mind.
Right. And my block list is very long at this point.
Just so everybody knows, I'm not on it. That I'm aware of.
Not yet. Come to the dark side.
Oh. Are you doing the things that you're doing because it's fun to have to deal with that, or are you fighting for something bigger than yourself?
A lot of
I already know what the answer is, but
what I'm doing and my reasons for speaking out and getting more involved is because I have 3 kids that I'm raising, and I need this world to be better than where I started. Because I want them to go further than what I've done. I want them to be more successful than I am. And I feel like if I don't say something now and things don't start improving, that there's not going to be much left for them. So what I'm doing is for my kids.
right.
It's not necessarily for me, it's for them.
I don't like, how do we top that? And that's the thing that I get, I hear when you talk to anybody, you listen to, I've had Larvita from Haven's Garden on here. I've had Lisa from the Interchange, Lisa Monet from the Alibi, Britt from Classic Hall Event Center, and just so many others that I've had on, and it's over and over and over again. I'm not doing this for me. This isn't about me. This is about my legacy, about my kids. It's about the future. It's about somebody else's kids. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that just stands out to me every single time, is everybody says, it's like, I'm not doing this for myself. Because if it was just for me, it'd be so much easier to just shut up.
It would be 100%.
Yeah, people don't understand. People like you bring heat on yourself, not because it's fun, but you're trying to share a message, mm-hmm. because it matters. So, I appreciate you taking the time, because I know like every spare minute for you counts, especially as a single mom. This might be like the most counterintuitive conversation. When you saw Amanda sitting there, you were thinking, oh, this is going to be fireworks, because she's going to be this leftist. Look at, she's got ink and and crazy hair and gauges, and like she's a real person, and she's actually doing what I've been telling people to do for a long time. Take it local, be on those committees, on the councils. That's what matters, is that local involvement. We're not going to change anything until we actually take it local, and not just do it because it's not the thing to do. $30 a meeting is not a big deal.
No.
What matters is you're learning the inside scoop, what's actually happening, and you start to see just how twisted and corrupt the entire system is, from permits to add on a few square feet on a deck on your own property, to like literally agendas coming from the left being forced into city politics and into school district politics over and over and over again. It's all happening, and it's right underneath your nose. And if you aren't taking interest in it, if you're not taking action, if you're not being involved, you have no right to complain, because you're responsible for the corruption by not being involved. So go check out Amanda's TikTok. Okay, for those of you that are over the age of 30, it's an app that you can get. Hey, look, it is what it is, Amanda. It's an app that you can get on your smartphone, or I think you can even do it on your computer, your desktop. Check out, if you do nothing else, just watch her, support her, help her keep her account going, because she is saying things that matter. She really is. And the fact that they're trying to cancel her on TikTok tells you she's saying things that are important. The old saying was, during World War II, to the bomber pilots, when you're over the target, you'll know, because you'll start taking flack. And that's what's happening to people like Amanda and so many others. They're over the target, they're taking flack. So until next time, don't worry about your safety. Don't worry about being protected from a virus or anything else like that. Fight for your liberties and your freedoms, and Sic Semper Tyrannis.